sitting on the porch with his old guitar, thinking about the days when he was a star. Had diamond rings, Cadillac cars, out the work money to go too far. It's gone. Hell, those days are gone. Well, it's gone. Hell, those days are gone. Hey there, buddy. See this? This is the autograph book. It's an old Gibson ES-120T. And I've written most of my music on this. Best 35 bucks I ever spent. Yeah. Got this old girl for 35 bucks back in the 80s. And this is the song, this here's the guitar that I wrote Diamonds and Cadillacs on. All right? It ain't too often that somebody can show you the exact guitar that they wrote a song on. All right? Just thought you might find that interesting. But I just want to tell you thank you for all the work you've been doing in sorting out this publishing thing. Yeah, we'll file this under shit happens, right? Anyway, I thought I'd just tell you a little story about the song. My old buddy Billy Poor, who you may or may not be familiar with, if nothing else, you probably read his book, Rockabilly Music, A 40-Year Journey. Billy always told me that Diamonds and Cadillacs is the song I'll be remembered for. What he didn't tell me was that it's the song that I'll be remembered for because the song has just been a big old pain in my ass since the day I wrote it. Tell you the story. Back in 1995, when I started my band, the Tremblers, which for legal reasons had to become Memphis Mike and the Legendary Tremblers. That's a whole other story. But anywho, we had a show up in Cleveland. That's about 150 or so miles from here, Pittsburgh. And I was down in my garage waiting for the bass player to come along with his truck so we could load up our gear and hit the road. So I'm just sitting there in the garage picking on the old Gibson. And I was messing with an old song that I started writing back in the 80s that I just never finished. And it was like... Long story short, the song never got finished. Even 40 years later, I still haven't finished it. Not everything gets finished. All right? Well, I was messing with that opening bit. So, well, let's swing that a little bit. And I came up with... said, well, I like that. I like that. So I threw some rockabilly stuff into it. Ooh, yeah, that works. And I originally wrote somewhere between a dozen and 20 different verses for it. I mean, it just kept coming and coming and coming. You know, sometimes that happens with songs. So I was playing it for the bass player when he shows up. He enjoyed it. We go up to Cleveland, do the show. And this particular gig was fortuitous in a number of different ways. my old buddy Alan Leatherwood, my friend and mentor, he was at the show and he really liked the new band. He says, I'd like to record you guys. So we made plans to come up a little bit later, make that drive again, and do some recording. I figured, we'd just record a demo or something. Because I'd done a lot of recording with Al Leatherwood already at this point. Started working with him back in 87, 88. And we ended up recording 10 songs, 9 of which came out on what was our first album, which got hit with all sorts of legal bullshit. But again, another story for another day. But I was telling Leatherwood about this song that I'd written called Diamonds and Cadillacs. And I played it for him. Oh, he really liked it. Ooh, he really, really liked it. Now, mind you, Al's he was a hell of a songwriter. And he had worked with the likes of Marty Robbins, and Jerry Reed, and Charlie Rich, and all these guys. He knew his stuff. And he wanted to record it. And I said, well, that'd be great. And I was just telling him that I had originally had the song in mind for Charlie Feathers. And here's where this song and its big old pain in the ass started. Al seemed to misunderstand what I said, and he got kind of pissy about it. I said, no, you gotta understand, I don't care who records it. Hell, I'll be thrilled if everyone in the world recorded it. But, oh well. We ended up not recording it at that session. A year or so later, after Al got me to register with BMI and that big old headache, the band booked studio time at a local studio to start recording another album. And Diamonds and Cadillacs was on that. Well, the head engineer hears that. And, well, apparently he heard dollar signs when he heard it. He said he wanted to produce the album and produce the band and blah, blah, blah. And it just became a big old headache. All right, I'm not going to lie to you. And, well, at one point, he disappeared with the masters and owing us about $600. So it took some searching and hunting and fighting to get the masters back. Never did get the $600 back. And we put that album out, and we had no money at this point, so it kind of went nowhere. And, like I said, not long after that, I met Hayden. That's, again, another story for another day. But, and so, Hayden and his cassette tapes and demo tapes. You got a bunch of them too. So I had sent him a copy of this Diamonds and Cadillac song, along with a couple others like Walk On and a few other things. He says, oh, I really like that Diamonds and Cadillac song. Ooh, I'd like to do it. So next thing I know, I get a cassette tape in the mail of Hayden playing it on piano. It wasn't great, but, we got the job done. And he just couldn't say enough nice things about the song. So one day he asks me if I can get him just an instrumental track of it. Yeah, not a problem. So I go back down to the studio. I say, hey, run me off a tape, but just leave the vocals off. Man, no problem, we can do that. Did that, but I sang it to Hayden. So he takes it over to a friend's house, and this guy has a karaoke machine. And that's how Hayden recorded the first couple demos of Diamonds and Cadillacs. So, a couple more years go along, Charlie Feathers had died at this point. I mean, Charlie wanted to record it, but it's just, Charlie wasn't getting out of Memphis at the time, and I don't leave the house if I don't have to. That's just me. So, I'm doing the first couple of years of Rockabilly Hall of Fame festivals down there in Tennessee. Thanks in no small part to my buddy Billy Poor. So I'm meeting all these old original guys, Eddie Bond and Matt Lucas and Max Self and Rayburn Anthony and Big Al Downing and all these cats. Max Self went batshit over Diamonds and Cadillacs. I'm sitting there playing it on this guitar, and says, "God damn it, boy, now that's rockabilly." And I'm like, okay, you'd know better than I would. And Mac had wanted to record it, and Sleepy LaBeef had wanted to record it, and I don't know if they did or not. It's, you know me, I don't. I'm a lousy businessman, all right? I'm an okay musician, lousy businessman, but I'm a hell of a cook. And Billy Poor always told me it's the song I'd be remembered for. Well, a couple years later, Billy Poor, his luck for once, it was going in his direction. And a Christmas song that he wrote, and Tex Rabinowitz did the music for, a song called "It's Not the Presents Under the Tree, It's Your Presence Here Next to Me." And Eva Cassidy recorded that. And then when she died, every label on the planet was hunting her shit down. Well, Time Warner Music at the time had released the rights to that song. And they were putting on all these Christmas compilation albums. And Billy was looking to bring home 35 to 50 grand a year just off that one song. So he's thinking all of his financial problems are over. Wrong. In 2001, I let Billy use Diamonds and Cadillacs as a one-off for a compilation album that he did, Renegade Rockabilly Volume 2. And it was just old friends of Billy's. We each put in a song, and, it was like me, Lawrence Bell, Kelly Willis, a few others. Charlie Feathers, I think, was on there. A couple other people. And, just to help Billy out, because his house had burned down. He didn't have insurance and stuff. So, like I said, Billy, it was looking like Billy was finally getting back on his feet again. And a guy that he had some business dealings with prior thought that he was just going to come in and take up all Billy's stuff. I don't know how people think. The whole thing ends up into a federal court down there in Nashville. Now, I got a couple of voicemails that I originally thought were a joke. It was allegedly from an FBI agent by the name of Special Agent Greg Craig. Who the hell names their child Greg Craig? I swear to God, I thought it was a joke. Until finally one day he shows up at my house. He shows me his ID and everything. I'm like, holy shit, the FBI is here. Oh, fuck. What have I done? And I explained to him, I said, dude, I thought it was a joke. Don't take it personally or anything. It's just your parents didn't do you a favor. All right. Anywho, he explains what's going on, and he's asking me all these questions about Billy's finances. Hell, I don't know my own damn finances for the most part. Sure as hell don't know Billy Poor's. So I had to dig out the copyright forms and all that shit. And then he says, well, we're going to have to go down to my office, and we're going to have to fax this to the judge down there in the federal court. And so I get the name of the federal judge, and after the fax is down there and I'm back home, I called up the judge myself, and I explained in no uncertain terms, bullshit, that's my song. you even think about letting somebody have a penny off it, we're going to have an issue. And it ain't going to be pretty. And the judge, she agreed. All right. She says, no, that's your song. And, you know, now she's a federal judge down in Nashville. She's dealt with stuff like this before. And she was like, well, you know, are you registered with BMI or ASCAP? And I went, well, at the time I was still with BMI, who has been nothing but useless as far as I'm concerned. All right. Unless you're Bruce Springsteen or Madonna, or you wrote Earth Angel or something like that, they ain't going to help you. All right. That's just the reality of it. So, this song, every couple of years, this song pops up and bites me in the ass. A couple years later, Hayden says he's going to record it for you guys with Hal Peters over there in Finland. Wonderful. And I remember Hayden calling me from Finland. He was just about in tears because Hal Peters' guitar player couldn't figure out this little guitar riff. Yeah, I used to play it a lot better. I've had 2 strokes, leave me alone. Anywho, Hayden was so upset at this guy's difficulty with it that he forgot the middle part of the song. Got alligator slippers and sharkskin suits, lots of pretty women to spend his loot. He had diamond gold on both of his hands, was about his pick a bit in the lane when it's gone. Hello, days are gone. Yeah, you get it. And so, I told Hayden, I said, buddy, don't worry about it. Again, we'll just follow under shit happens. I'm just thrilled that you like my song enough to want to record it. All right? And, you know, when the song came out, he sent it to me, and I liked it. You know, friends of mine have heard it, and they're like, oh, it's a different version, but it's still good. We like it. Hayden sings it really well. All right? And I don't think I've played the song live in 10 or 15 years. And it's just, you know, my live stuff started going a different direction. The last 10 years, I was mostly playing, you know, old school blues stuff. Since I had the strokes, playing even less, you know. And, well, since Hayden passed, I've been listening to a lot of his stuff, and you know, I got records and CDs and tapes all over the place around here, and just looking up stuff on YouTube. Every now and then I'll come across a song that I didn't know or hadn't heard in a long time. And I came across that Diamonds and Cadillacs with Ridgetop Music as the publisher, and I was, I'm sure you can understand. But again, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your diligence and quick work on taking care of that. Big Mika, I'm going to tell you, Hayden Thompson always liked you, and he trusted you. Now, you and I both know that Hayden could sometimes get a little particular about things. We all do, I guess. But I know that the last time he and I talked, we talked about you a little bit. And he always liked you. He always did. So, you got that one in your, oh, what's the word I want? In the column of good stuff in your life. You definitely got that one. And now you have mine. So, again, amigo, muchas gracias. Vielen Dank. Благодаря. Thank you kindly, sir. You have a great year. I'll talk to you soon.